It is recorded in the book of Deuteronomy that God spoke to Moses and he told him that there's a day coming when the children of Israel shall reject me for being king over them. And it will be their desire to be as other nations. This was eventually fulfilled when Solomon, or shall I say, when Saul was selected after the people of Israel during the time of Samuel fulfilled this word which came from God, saying that they wanted to be like other nations. They desired to have a king who would rule over them. And it was commonplace when you chose a king to get a dashing man, a handsome man, a good-looking man, a man of valor. Saul fit this bill. Eventually, he would fall. But then God said something to the prophet, to the very same prophet Samuel. And he said these words. He says, I don't look, if I might paraphrase it, I don't look at people the way that man looks at people. God said, I don't judge him by what you see on the outside. But what I do is I look at his heart. And so God chose David because David was a man after God's own heart. But at this particular time, David is an old man. Now, when I give you his age, we would say, yes, senior citizen, but what's so old about that? There are perhaps some in here right now who are several years older than David was when he died. David became king at age 30. And he ruled over Hebron and all of Israel, when you put them together, 7 and 33, a combined 40 years. So at this particular time, David is 70 years of age. The Bible says that he was old and stricken in years. What would make 70 so old when people were recorded as living so much longer? David was a man of war. And apparently at this time, war had taken its toll. Perhaps through all of the battles, all of the fights, most likely there were injuries. The weapons would be archaic, primitive, compared to the weapons that we'd have today. David had been on the run quite often. Once again, many military campaigns. And so now he is a battle-weary king. The years have taken hold. On this Mother's Day, I want to continue, and perhaps even, I won't put this in the series, Exceeding Abundantly Above, but it will fit in perfectly. This can be a parenthetical teaching that can go in the series. I want to come from the title, and I will use the title and the subject as the same. I believe it's that strong. A promise is a promise. Say it again like you mean it. A promise is a promise. There is a person that's very instrumental. And that person who's very instrumental in this situation would be the prophet Nathan, the Navi. Navi, your Hebrew word for prophet. This is the one who's a spokesperson for God. And they will speak exactly what God has given them. It will be God who will come to David. Notice we never hear where he came to Bathsheba. But there is a consequence that she will feel. He came to David, and eventually it came to the situation where he revealed to David that you are the one who have violated the laws of God. You are the one who sinned against God. As the king, David could have taken the same route, as Saul began to kill off the men of God. Instead, he humbled himself and he repented. God let him know that you will not die, but there will be consequences. Now, we go to this portion with Adonijah. Adonijah, at this particular time, is he was the fourth son of David. Amnon is dead. Absalom is dead. There's another son who perhaps died at a young age. I believe it was Killian, died at a young age. And so Adonijah would be the eldest of the sons remaining. But he does something. He takes it upon himself to exalt himself as king. And he does something similar to the acts of Absalom. David's commander, Joab, he gets David's commander, who is also David's first cousin. He is the son of David's, he is David's first cousin, okay? He gets Joab. He gets a priest. And these individuals decide to support him in setting up his kingdom. He has this entourage. You know, we call them armor bearers today. Here is a man with a kingdom, or trying to get a kingdom, and he has 50 men before him. Here's something how some of us have a sanctuary and we have 50 men before us. But here it is in Israel, and he has 50 men. He has chariots prepared, horsemen. He's setting up this big festival. And the word says that his father had not displeased him. In other words, David never chided him. David never rebuked him. David in his old age, he's been a great leader. But now he's laid back because he's sickly. And once again, David at times would allow his children to do things that led to his own humiliation. And so at this time, Nathan needs to speak. And he's not speaking to David, but he is speaking to Bathsheba, the mother of Solomon. And Bathsheba is very important. When I look at the meaning of her name, and I begin to look at the scripture, I understand. The name Bathsheba simply means daughter of an oath. Daughter of an oath. An oath is a promise that something will be done, that you will do a certain thing. So he'll speak to her. And when he speaks to her, the mother of Solomon, he brings out this plot. And he recognizes that if Adonijah is made king, both Bathsheba and Solomon will be put to death because they will be seen as sinners, offenders, sinners. And so if you wish to save your life, you need to listen to the counsel of this prophet. It was seen to the casual reader, to the secular person, that Nathan the prophet is scheming with Bathsheba. But there is no scheme taking place here. Something transpired in order for Nathan to say what he's saying. When we get down to the 13th verse, this is where he tells her to go to the king, go to your husband. And this is what you need to say to him. Did you not swear to me and say assuredly? And we see this word assuredly, that is saying indeed. Did you not tell me indeed that Solomon your son will reign after you and sit on the throne? Now, perhaps David answers and says yes, Because after it, we have the question when she says, why then does Adonijah reign? After this, Nathan will come in and he will bring some things out. Flowing with me, Dusty Bass? Yes, are you? Flowing with me. Now, I want you to see something. While she talked with him, Nathan the prophet came in. Nathan talked with David very respectfully. And as they go through all of this, she brings out the fact that you swore to me, you promised me. Now, we can take this and say, well, humans have been known to break promises. But my question, I asked something earlier, did God have anything to do with this? David comforted, verse 24, David comforted Bathsheba, his wife, daughter of an oath, and went into her and lay with her, and she bare a son, and he called his name Solomon, and the Lord loved him. And he sit by the hand of Nathan the prophet, and he called his name Jedediah because of the Lord. Two things. His name is Solomon, which means peace. Jedediah, beloved of the Lord. Are you with me here? And so he's called Jedediah because the Lord loved Solomon. The Lord loved Solomon. Somebody say the Lord loved Solomon. Now I got to give you one more so that you can really see this. Stay right in 2 Samuel. And we'll go to chapter 7. If I get a little carried away a little bit later, it's all right with you, isn't it? Yes. Now David has peace from all of his wars and battles. David wants to build a temple. God calls the prophet Nathan. When David wants to do this, God called Nathan. It came to pass that night that the word of the Lord came unto Nathan, saying, go and tell my servant David what I'm about to say. Shall you build a house for me? The conversation continues on. When you get to verse 12, it reads, and when thy days be fulfilled, and thou hast slept with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. What am I bringing out? Nathan could speak because God spoke to Nathan and gave Nathan the name. Nathan went to David, gave David the name. David loved God and submitted to God. David went to Bathsheba and said, this is what God said, and most assuredly, he shall sit on the throne. Bathsheba didn't name him, God named him. God said he's going to the throne. David said he's going on the throne. At this particular time, David is weak. David is sickly. And Bathsheba comes to him with what he has told her concerning what God has said. You swore to me that my boy would sit on the throne, and a promise is a promise. Yes. When I think of Bathsheba, and her name, daughter of an oath, I look at her beginnings. She was an honorable woman. David disgraced her. They repented. And when I see God saying what he said, it shows me that God signified that I have forgiven you, I have cleansed you, and I am going on with my purposes. Somebody might say, why Bathsheba? I'll say, why not Bathsheba? Oh, somebody hear me in here. Why not Bathsheba? You can say, why Rahab? Why not Rahab? God isn't looking at your past. God is looking at where you are right now. Oh, somebody hear me in here. And so God, in his infinite wisdom, knew that Bathsheba would be the mother of the next king of Israel. And he made a promise to David. And so the name, I even believe the name that she has was no coincidence. How do you come up with a name which means daughter of an oath? But when Bathsheba goes in, and then she's listened to godly counsel from the man of God, when she goes in and the prophet says, I'll come behind and I'll confirm. If you just read this and not what I read before, you wouldn't get it. But the prophet can confirm it because God told the prophet. And so the prophet comes in and confirms what she said. Now, what David has to do, what happens in David's mind, I believe he recollects, he's sharpened all of a sudden. The man who doesn't have the strength. Sick people, when you're really sick. See, this isn't really sick. If you can get on the phone, oh, really today, okay, I don't feel it, I'm going to okay, bye. And then 12 o'clock, you can jump in your car, on your bicycle, or get on your plane and go do what you got to do. And you look at, and you can stop at the traffic light, go where you need to go, get out, do what you got to do, put it back, then get back home. Oh, you're not really sick. When you're really sick, you stop everything. I want to make it so clear, everything. You stop everything. David stopped everything. He stopped correcting stuff. But here is what happened. Bathsheba brought something to David, which I believe connected David to what the prophet said, which came from God. And David had a heart after God. David did not want to displease God. So David got up and he said, what I've spoken to you, Bathsheba, it's going to happen. Solomon shall be king. What I've sworn to you is going to happen. God sent his word. You believe his word. When stuff begins to change, when stuff is about to happen, you've got to be bold enough to knock on the door. Let Jesus say, come in. And then bow yourself in the Holy of Holies and make your petitions known. See, many times, when I hear people say, well, I don't know how to pray. I don't know how to pray. Can I help you? If you don't know how to pray, then perhaps I can help you. I just said, can I help you? And then I said, I can help you. If you really don't know how to pray, then you don't know the word. Oh, wow. I'm not insulting you. I'm helping you. I'm saying if you really, because you may think you don't know how to pray. If you think you don't know how to pray, then you perhaps don't know the word. But if you know the word, Tamara, you ought to know how to pray. I can simply go to God. Not that he forgot, but the word says to his remembrance. In other words, for him to consider. It's just saying that I know. I can go to God and I can bring his word up to him. What he says about this. You said no weapon formed against us shall prosper. God, don't let that weapon form against my child. Lord, there's a weapon formed against my child called secular humanism. There's a weapon being formed against my child. Are you with me in here? Called secularism. There's a weapon being formed against my child called homosexuality. There's a weapon formed against my child called greed. There's a weapon formed against my child called selfishness. But God, you said that my child shall be a servant of the Most High God, and I'm coming standing on the word, God, and I want to see it happen. See, that's what a mother does. She goes to her king. And so I go to God, recognizing that my daddy is also a king. You got some people on your side. Let's just call them intercessors. But there's some people on the other side. You didn't lose your child without outside influences. Can I give you the picture? How many have had children in nursery? They got buddies. How many had children in Head Start? They got buddies. How many had children in kindergarten? None of you had children. I've seen a hand go up yet. They got buddies. How many have had children in elementary school? They had buddies. How many had children in middle school? They had buddies. Each time the mindset changes. How many of you had children? When I went to school, we had junior high. They still have junior high school up north, so don't laugh. Junior high school, high school, college, graduate school. Each time they meet friends, the mind is expanded and there's a whole different intellect. And now there becomes a freedom. And today they call themselves free thinkers. But can I help you? There's no such thing as a free thinker. You're either influenced by God or the devil. Whomever you yield your members as instruments to serve, that's whose servant you are. So what you've got to do, you've got to know how to get on your knees and say, God, I know you gave it to James. You talked about two types of wisdom. There's the wisdom of the world, which is demonic, and there's wisdom which comes from above, which belongs to you. Father, bless my child with wisdom which comes from you. You promised me, God. You promised me, God. You promised me, and I'm standing on your promises. I'm not challenging you, God. I'm just standing. I'm standing on your promise. Isn't that something? When you stand on God's promise, you got to be willing to bow.